love Enneagram for a couple of reasons. I think those of you who know me, I heard my story, why I learned Enneagram 12 years back was because I wanted to fix my mother-in-law. Of course, shortly after learning, I realized I'm the problem. So that is the beauty of Enneagram, right? Because I think Enneagram gives us a structure and a framework. It is different from, let's say, like DISC, where it talks about just the behavioral aspects. I think it tells us why we do what we do. So that gives a lot of insight. And there are very few tools. There are very few tools in the market that really tells you how your greatest potential look like. And Enneagram spells out the whole spectrum of your upside and the stress area. So that gives us a very good kind of reference point or a roadmap on a personal development. And you can therefore measure your progress. Because a lot of times when we learn about a profiling tool, our next question is, okay, so I know this is me, I know this is how I think, so what's next? Yeah, so that is what the beauty of Enneagram is. It actually gives us a systematic, structured kind of architecture to actually follow in terms of our development. Yeah. So other than the full spectrum, I think Enneagram kind of also measure the abstract part of the psyche because it touches on the motivation. Yeah. So it helps us to learn about ourselves and others. And importantly, it helps us to deepen the understanding of different people's higher or positive intention behind the behaviors and allow us to better appreciate one another. Especially in this trying VUCA time, a lot of things can be subject to misinterpretation. And when you don't see your colleague over the camera, you don't know what they are doing, our brain naturally would want to kind of like tell a story because we connect the dots, we make meaning out of it. So how can you judge better in that sense to actually deepen and continue to build the relationship and trust in your team or in your family? I think that's a very important frame to have when you learn any new tools. It has to help you, it has to liberate you if you're learning something. Yeah. So I think Enneagram, that's what Enneagram did for me. I don't know what about the rest of you, Agnes, or what's your personal experience?
I think for me, Enneagram, a lot of time is I started by focusing on myself first. I realized that there are challenges that somehow I cannot overcome. Yours is Sukhin is mother-in-law, mine is my wife. I just don't know why. Yeah, I just can't deal with her. So after knowing Enneagram, I think that helps a lot. Once that happened, I started to use it in leadership development and team development. And that is even bring me to another rhyme about how useful Enneagram can be just by allowing people to understand the personality. And that somehow creates space for people to slow things down and willing to listen to one another. So that was really wonderful. Yeah.
So we have mother-in-law, we have wife, and for me, it was mother. The beautiful thing about learning the Enneagram is really understanding how the other person sees the world. What's their worldview, why they do things, what motivates them, what are their fears. And that leads to, in fact, a lot of compassion. That finally I can understand how my mom is doing things actually to the best of her ability and doing things for me to the best of what she thinks is good for me. And by developing this kind of compassion for other people when we know about their Enneagram motivations and styles, it also brings us not just into better relationships, but it's actually a growth for our spiritual development as well. So very, very useful.
Yes.
For me to contribute a bit more here is that I used to look at the mirror at the person in front of me and not see the person. Yeah, so that was I see a lot of flaws, a lot of things I wanted to improve and wasn't very happy and settled with myself. Yeah, so when I first discovered the Enneagram through the teaching of Agnes, I started to have a structure of understanding what is this drive inside that is actually driving me. There's a lot more understanding. But beyond that understanding is actually there are ways to start moving out of all these challenges that I have to raise myself from who I think I can be, to become more of the person that I want to be. Yeah.